Hey, man.
No.
All right.
No.
Hey, man.
No.
Okay. Do I need to change my tone? Is it a tone thing or is it a? Do you want me to
It's
say
the
something?
things you're saying.
Hey, man.
I don't
that
like it.
offended you that much?
Yeah. All right. Try
All
it
right,
again.
hey, man.
Start over. Let's just
Hey-
start over.
hey, man.
Here we go. Do
Hey,
it
Okay.
now.
Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you ever heard of Aleister Crowley?
Aleister Crowley?
Yeah,
Sounds like a rock star.
it does.
Sounds like the lead singer of a Christian rock band in the 80s.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. He's like, I'm Aleister Crowley and you need to get saved. You're like, oh.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because Aleister Crowley was actually the founder of a religion called TILLN, and his own mom called him the Beast, as in like he's marked by the number 666. Like she straight said that.
Wait, is he a cult leader?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, Aleister is the perfect name for a cult leader.
Yeah.
That's such a cool name.
Aleister Crowley. Yeah, it's not his name. He made that part up. His name's actually Edward Alexander Crowley.
Edward
but
Alexander
he was like,
Crowley.
call me Aleister.
And he was like, I love McAllisters.
But if I call myself McAllister,
But take
I'll get sued.
the MC off. Because I'm the main event. And you're like, what? He's not an MC. He's not a host.
He's just the Aleister. He's playing beer pong with the British CIA.
Saturdays are for the BIA. They got that flag in their office or whatever. We should start our own crypto called Tulip Coin.
To this day, people believe that the Loch Ness Monster is rich.
Super rich. They're like, you stole our secret society. And he's like, how do you even know what mine is? Things I learned last night. TILLN it.
Yeah, so he was born in 1875 in Warwickshire, which is in Europe. Don't ask me what country.
Okay.
It's England. He was born in Warwickshire in England to a wealthy family, but his dad was the owner of a very successful brewery, but they were devout Christians. And get this, they vehemently believed that drunkenness was a sin. So they didn't take a dime from their brewery. They just put it in the bank. And his dad was instead a pastor. And so they owned the brewery and it was very successful and made a lot of money, but they didn't spend any of it. And instead he pastored a church because he thought it was a sin to get drunk. But he still made the beer.
Is the profiting on?
I don't understand.
So they just had money,
Yeah, they had a lot of money.
but they lived very poor.
Yeah, they did not use any of it because the way they got their money was a sin. And they were very, very fundamentalist.
Well, I'm a pastor. I'm also an assassin on the side. Murdered many, many people. But I don't spend that money, and that's kind of what matters.
I don't spend any of the money from my murders.
Mm-hmm.
I don't spend my murder money.
Murder money.
It goes right into the murder bank, and I don't touch it. Want to come to my church?
Can I open a Soul Prop account, please? Yeah, what's your business name? Callisters. Callisters.
Oh, like the sandwich shop?
Oh, yeah, like Mick Callisters, but Callisters. He's like, you get it.
You get it. You're right on.
Okay, so Aleister.
Yeah. So he was, his parents were very fundamentalist.
Right.
So much that he basically couldn't do anything.
Sure.
Like didn't go out and play with the other kids, couldn't go outside. Like he pretty much all he could do in his free time was read the Bible. And they were very, very intense about avoiding sin. And so he was very, very rigid growing up.
Yeah.
And about 11 years old, his dad passed away. And that was a very difficult event for him. And following
If
that,
a kid takes that easy, that's rough. You know, yeah. At 11 years old, his dad passed away. Breezed right through that.
yeah,
and,
he was fine
I
with
hope
it.
it was difficult for him.
That's fair. That's pretty fair.
If a kid's like, yeah, you know, he wouldn't let me spend any of his money.
And then when he was, I think in that same year, he developed albuminuria. So it's a condition where a protein in your body is abnormally present, and it usually leads to death and kidney disease. And so the doctor said he doesn't have a lot of time to live unless this gets fixed. And so what they decided to do, they said, hey, you can go live with your uncle in the mountains for a couple years and just kind of enjoy your last days, basically. And his dad...
They're trying to send him off to like you know how you send a dog to the farm?
Well, their hope, and I don't know why
Edward,
they thought this would work.
Can we go up to the mountains and just...
Run free?
Die peacefully? And look at the view. Listen to the rare wind. And he's just sitting there like...
this wind's going to kill me.
That's murder wind. I know that wind. That's murder wind.
Their hope was, and I don't know why they hoped this, but their hope was that some time outdoors would heal him. And I mean, I guess it's like, 1870. So it's like, I mean, people weren't like super smart about science stuff. So they were just like, yeah, just send him in outdoors for a while and he'll be fine. And so they did that. They sent him with his uncle, and he lived with his uncle. And here's the thing about his uncle. He wasn't like his dad. He was like, man, if I started a brewery and made a lot of money off of it, I'd live off that money. And I would do crazy stuff with it because, I'd be rich.
Yeah.
And so he believed, he was like, this boy's going to die soon. Aleister's going to die soon. Let him live his life. And so he just opened up the floodgates for Aleister Crowley. This kid's like 12 years old. And he just opened up the floodgates and was like, yeah, go play outside with the kids. The first time in his life he ever got to just like play outside with other neighborhood kids. And then his uncle started taking him to the local pubs and just buying him alcohol. And then I kid you not, his uncle buys him a prostitute and is like, let's let you lose your virginity before...
At 12 years old?
Before you die. Yeah. So a vastly different lifestyle while he's living with his uncle than the fundamentalist lifestyle he was brought up in, seeing a world that he obviously never even thought about or knew existed with his uncle. So very, very different lifestyle. And he realizes while he's out there as a young child, he's like, hey.
I judge parents who take their kids to Hooters. Like there was a day when I was in middle school where a kid in 7th grade showed up wearing a Hooters t-shirt. It's signed by all the Hooters girls or whatever. And my teachers made him take it off. Like he had to go change shirts because it was a distraction.
Yeah.
You know? And this kid's out here, middle school aged.
Yeah.
1870?
Yeah.
70s were wild, man. That's what I've heard. That's really where the decay of our world began, was in the 1870s.
Well, wait till you hear about this. But no, so he, while he was living with his uncle, he started to question the Christian morality he was brought up in.
No way.
Because he was like, oh my gosh, all of this is awesome, and nothing's happening to me because of it. He's like, this is great. And so he gets sent back home. He ends up, for some reason, the issue that was leading to his kidney disease, a bunch of beer fixed it. And so he ended up being fine. Well, he ended up he ended up being fine. It wasn't the beer, but I mean, who knows? Maybe it was the beer. But he ends up being all right. And so his uncle sends him back home to his mom, and he gets home and he's a different kid.
He gets home and he's seen some stuff.
Yeah. So much so that
he's a mountain man now.
Him and his mom have a bit of a falling out because he's like refusing to go to church. He's like not listening to anything she says because he's like everything you say is stupid. I'm gonna go get drunk with my friends, with my 30-year-old friends. And so they have this like really tense few months with him back at his mom's house, and it culminates in a moment where he waits for her to leave, and then he orders a prostitute and kind of stages it so that way she'll walk in on them on her bed. And so she goes ballistic. She kicks him out, and she actually was really sad. She kind of like goes insane after this because of how tough it was. Traumatizing it was for her. And so then this guy goes on to just live this like live fast, die young lifestyle.
Right.
It's like 1890 now, and he actually makes it into Cambridge University, which is crazy. So he makes it into Cambridge, and he goes to Cambridge, and he's studying there, and he's renowned throughout the course of his life for having this crazy ability of getting into a group and working his way to the top, and just like measling his way up the social structure of groups. And so he does this at Cambridge, and ends up doing really, really well in school, and then leaving. He did have a few relationships there, whatever, living fast. I mean, honestly, pretty typical college lifestyle for somebody who started the college lifestyle at the age of 12. You know, like just kind of crazy. And then when he left college, he went to a city in Switzerland where he found a secret society called the Golden Dawn. And when he was there, this society...
Oh, but he's good at working his way up.
Yeah. Yeah, so he finds a secret society called the Golden Dawn. And...
how do you find a secret? You just stumble upon it?
Yeah, I don't really know how you just find it. But...
Hey.
What are you looking at?
How do you... I was trying to be like, do you know of any? But obviously you can't say it.
Yeah, you can't talk about it.
And I can't say it.
No.
But
it... So he joins...
They're called the Golden what?
The Golden Dawn. Like Dawn dish soap. So he joins the secret society.
Yeah.
But here's what happened when he joined the secret society. He felt like he
told everybody.
He's like, no. It's worse.
He joins. He's like, guys, good news.
I don't know why. If it was like he didn't want them to know who he really was or what it was, but he wore a disguise to his first meeting there, which he's a young guy. He's like 21. He wears a fake mustache.
I was going to say, put on a fake mustache.
He wore a fake mustache and had a bad fake accent that everybody immediately saw through.
Hello, I am Aleister. I'm here to join your secret society. And they were like, where are you from, Aleister? I'm from the United States. And you're like, I don't think so.
They immediately saw through it. Like literally, they brought it up that night.
Bro,
they were like, bro, you're not who you say you are.
We'll hear you out, but why do you think you should be able to join? Well, I think that I would be a good addition to your group. And they're like, you sound stupid.
Like, can you talk normal, please? And take that mustache off.
But like, there's always like a person in the group that everyone makes fun of.
Yeah.
And that guy was like, let him in. Let him in. Like, yeah, I second it. He's like, I'm just excited to not be the one.
So
that night they were like, we're gonna let you in, but
they let him in, but they knew immediately. They were like, yeah, this guy's sketchy. So they kept him at an arm's length.
Oh, they didn't confront him.
Well, they confronted him, and they were like, hey,
and then he was like, no.
They were like, buddy, just be yourself, and he was like, fine. And then and they let him in, but they kind of kept him at his arms. Like they had like this like almost like tiers of inner circles, and they kept him in that like outer tier group because they didn't trust him a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
it's kind of like, speaking of tiers,
yeah,
it's kind of like a $5 tier on Patreon and a $25 tier on Patreon. Both on Patreon.
Which if you come into the Discord with like, a fake accent and a mustache, we'll leave you in that tier.
We will, well, first of all, we'll know. All right. And then, we got a Discord that you can join here on Patreon. Anyway.
Yeah. Which this group, the Golden Dawn, was an interesting group. They kind of had cherry-picked beliefs from every world religion and practiced magic from those world religions. So they found the mystical, magical elements of every world religion and then found the magic and practiced the magic from it, which he was very interested in because,
What magic do they pull from Christianity? Healings?
Yeah, I mean, there's like... Moses turning his staff into a snake, like stuff like that. So anything like kind of weird, miraculous like that, they were like, yeah, let's do that. And so they just tried to figure out how to do that stuff.
Hey, just popping in again to say, are you tired of advertisements? Are you tired of us not talking about the subject that you clicked the link to listen to? Well, great news for you. Patreon doesn't have any of our advertisements, doesn't have us pitching our merchandise or a Patreon. Obviously, you're already there, but it also doesn't have YouTube ads or anything else. So sign up for Patreon and you'll hear less commercial breaks. Our goal really is to break you with breaks. Thank you. Patreon.com/Jaron Myers, TILLN.com/join.
It was interesting that they had decided to keep him at an arm's length and they were suspicious of Aleister Crowley because he actually was a British spy, which how this happened, I don't fully understand.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so he was a British spy. Great Britain enlisted him as a spy in this time because they had found out that the Golden Dawn had some...
So he didn't stumble across the Golden Dawn. He was trying to infiltrate it. It's unclear if he stumbled across it, got in with his fake accent,
and then
they were like, hey, just drop him. You know what would have been really great is if you just like... If they're like, could you imagine if you joined it just as yourself and they were like, we can tell your accent's fake, you know, and then you gotta be like, oh, you all right? Like you gotta like,
you got me.
You got me. This is how I sound, you know, but like, so it was unclear if he stumbled into it, got in, and then they were recruited him as a spy
or if they recruited him and sent him.
If they were like, hey buddy, we saw you at Cambridge. Also, we like to party, you know, because he's kind of like
they met him at a party.
Yeah,
they were like,
yeah. He's kind of like I picture like Van Wilder, like you know, like that. That's what he's got to be the guy on campus.
He's playing beer pong with the British CIA.
Yeah,
and they were like, hey, want to go be a spy or something? You should totally be a spy, bro. Like you could be a spy, bro. Show us your accents. Show us your accents, man.
They're very good.
That accent.
Whoa! Yeah, they get him in.
They get into work on Monday, and their boss is like, "So you sent this guy? Mm-hmm. What did you see in him that made you
what
think?
What is their CIA called?
Oh gosh, I don't know. The British Intelligence Agency.
Oh, okay.
BIA.
BIA. Got it. Saturdays are for the BIA. They got that flag in their office or whatever. Saturdays are for the BIs.
The BIs.
It's a boys club, you know?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So he's immediately failing at his mission because nobody wants to let him in, right?
Right.
They want to keep him at a distance. So what he does is he befriends the leader and gets really close to the leader and essentially is like, I'll pay you a lot of money because my dad's super rich and I inherited all of that. And he's like, I'll just pay you a lot of money to teach me all the magic you know. And the guy
put me in the inner tier.
Yeah.
I'll pay $25 a month to be on the inside.
And he was like, $25 a month, that's $18.90. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot.
Do you know what year it is, Aleister?
Yeah, dude, I just bought a bunch of tulips that you're really going to want to know about. Because the tulip man was coming through town.
200 years after they were worth anything.
You don't know how far they spread, you know?
Oh, gosh.
We should start our own crypto called Tulip Coin.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Is it? You reacted like you were interested in that idea. I was going to be like, this is a good joke.
I thought it was a cool idea.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? If Dogecoin could make it, we could.
All right.
So the rest of the secret society loses their mind over this. They're like, how are you letting this guy into the middle? And so the secret society kind of collapses around their eyes because of this relationship. Mm-hmm. But Aleister and the leader of this, his name is George Cecil Jones. they become pretty close friends after this, and they
George Cecil.
yes.
Okay.
They become pretty close friends after this, and they continue kind of working together in their black magic stuff. Like they're like, hey, I've learned this new card trick. You want to see it? And that's pretty much how their relationship went from there.
Every day, that's how the way most guy friendships work.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, you got all these issues right underneath the surface. He's going through a divorce.
Yeah.
He can't, he doesn't really feel close to anybody.
His secret society has collapsed around his eyes.
Yeah. And then you're just like, you see this new magic trick I learned? Isn't that the way bros go?
That's a pretty cool trick, man. So after this happened, Crowley purchases this house outside on the shore of Loch Ness. That was going to be his temple.
Yeah.
He's like, this is my temple. And so he started, he bought that, left that land there, and started traveling the world, learning
Every
things
night he stands by the lake and he's just like, I'll pay you to show yourself.
He's just throwing money in the lake.
Yeah.
'Cause he's super rich.
He's just like, people are like, what are you doing? Throwing those gold coins, not even dollar bills, they're gold coins. He's just flicking them into the,
Yeah.
like, he's like, I'm trying to get Nessie out of here.
To this day, people believe that the Loch Ness Monster is rich.
Super rich. So you know why? It's because he has all that money, all right, but he doesn't want to spend any of it.
Doesn't spend any of it.
Yeah, because he's a fundamentalist.
He's a fundamentalist. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about Aleister Crowley. His mom died shortly after he left his house, and so he inherited their fortune that they had never touched. And so not only were they super rich, but they never touched a dime of it.
Yeah.
And so he's got insane cash. So he's just blowing money up the wazoo to live his crazy lifestyle.
Doesn't even ask Dave Ramsey how to do it. He's just like, I just inherited all this money.
Inherited all this money.
Blow it.
He's like, I'm just gonna blow it on some stuff. So he travels to Mexico, India, Paris.
Oh, he's going around.
Literally going around the planet with his goal of finding secret societies and occults to learn their magic. He's like, teach me your magic. He's like obsessed with magic, specifically.
Does he just whisper
magic.
that to people? He's whispering, he goes, teach me your magic.
Teach me your magic. You know
like
any
that.
magic?
Hey, do you know any? Magic.
It's like, Aleister, you spilled so much beer on me when you asked me that
Do you
question.
know any magic? Teach me your magic.
Can somebody order this guy Uber? Get this guy out of here. Where are you staying? You need to leave.
1890, like a buggy pulls up. Like, all right, buddy, let's go.
Uber?
For Aleister? He's got like a 3-star rating. He's a terrible passenger. Throws up in the back of their buggy.
Every time.
Oh. Intentionally. On purpose.
Yeah. So while he is in Paris, he meets a woman named Rose Kelly, who is the sister of a guy named Gerald, who he befriended in Paris.
Okay.
He finds out that Rose was betrothed to be married, but it was like an arranged marriage. She didn't want to marry this guy.
Drama.
So the day he met her, he said, hey, let's get married and we'll leave. And so they did. He just kidnapped her sister, this guy's sister, apparently, his friend's sister, married her, like went to the courthouse, married her, and then fled to Egypt. And like they never saw Rose again, like literally just pieced out. And took this girl with
They
him.
changed her last name too.
To what?
What's Aleister's last name?
Crowley?
Crowley?
Yeah.
Well, because he was like, listen, if your name is R. Kelly, it's going to be problematic.
I'm a magician. I know the future.
No, and this is not going to be
And you don't
good.
want to stick with that.
You
Trust
don't want
me.
to change that to
Trust me.
R. Crowley, you know? Because it's not going to be good for you if you leave
Don't
that.
say R. Kelly, PR Crowley.
Yeah. Let's go to Egypt right now. She's like, I can't. I believe we can fly.
He's running around her room. He's like, we can fly, we can fly, we can fly. And she's like, what is it? Who is this man?
I was making an R. Kelly reference. And you went like full Peter Pan. I was making I believe I can fly.
No, yeah.
That's R. Kelly. And you were just like,
Is that really R. Kelly?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. And then you were like, if we just believe.
I had no idea that was R. Kelly. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, I had no idea that was R. Kelly. Dang. Okay.
That's not a reference I was making. That was a good pop culture reference. And then you were like, yeah, Rose. Third star to the left and straight on till Egypt. Jeez. That's a callback.
So they get to Egypt, and they start. It's like the early 1900s, right?
Yeah.
So Egypt's not like super protective of their
Borders?
historical artifacts.
Oh.
Artifacts?
Artifacts.
Artifacts.
Artifacts is like when you're a freshman in archaeology school.
You have to fax in your designs. Here's my artifacts.
Oh man, what does the back of your shirt say? Doesn't it say
It says architects.
Okay, architects. Archifags.
So they get there and they start like finding like pyramids and like Egyptian temples, and they start going in there and drawing pentagrams and trying to summon the Egyptian god Horus, because he believes he's supposed to.
This feels like a rom-com movie where Rose is just getting like it's like The Notebook if The Notebook got real dark at the end.
If the guy in the Notebook didn't want to farm.
She's like gonna be married to somebody else, and then he goes, "Hey, what if we just travel the world and summon the devil?" And she was in such a vulnerable place that she was like, "Yeah," but you know how that pans out. Like a year later, they're like in New Zealand. And he's like drawing. He's like, what? You're not drawing the pentagram with as much enthusiasm as you used to.
You used to.
And she's like,
the points of your pentagram used to be
Aleister,
one point.
this isn't the same anymore. This isn't for me. Can't we just settle down and get and have a family?
Oh my god.
He looks off into the mountains and he goes, I don't want to put another kid into this world. She's like, what the heck?
What is wrong with you? So they go and
they're doing a bunch of stuff in Egypt.
They're doing a bunch of stuff in Egypt, and
They get
she's
caught.
claiming to be having these visions of Horus, and Horus is telling her
Who's Horus?
it's an Egyptian god.
Okay.
And Horus is telling her
What a
that
name.
they've been looking for Aleister, and Aleister's angry at his wife because he says, I've been doing this forever and I haven't seen Horus, but you are saying you're seeing Horus on the first try. And so he's really mad at her about it. Like he's really mad at her about it.
He's like, now it's probably not gonna work. But we're gonna do this anyway. And then she goes, "Oh, I can see Horus." He's like, "What?"
He's like, "No, you can't."
No.
And she's like, but they did it repeatedly, and she said the same thing, and he got mad every time. He's like, "Stop it! You're not seeing." They kept doing it together, and she kept seeing him. Well, she ends up while they're still in Egypt. She ends up going to this museum.
She ends up running off with Horus. She's really not loyal to anybody.
Horus is like, "Quick, marry me.
Quick, marry
go
me.
To Paris.
Let's go to Paris." It's just an endless cycle.
So she goes to this museum and she sees this thing called the Stele of Ankh-F-N Khonsu, which she shows to Crowley, and it depicted the god Horus and a few other things. It's like an ancient Egyptian artifact.
Yeah.
Crowley becomes obsessed with it because its item number in the museum is 666, and so he's like, this is meant for me because I am the beast, and he's like, I need this stele. And so they rename it the Stele of Revealing, that this is going to reveal some secret mystery that Aleister is supposed to expose. And that's his destiny. That's why Horus is looking for him.
Okay.
So he gets obsessed with this crazy idea. And then they decide, let's go to China. So they went to China.
What are they on The Amazing Race? They show up and the host is like, you are the first to arrive. I regret to inform you that you are the last to arrive.
And so on this trip, they actually ended up having a baby named Lilith. And then he writes this book called the Book of the Law, which is like his holy book of his new religion that he's called Thelema. And what's
Thelema is the religion.
Yeah, the religion is called Thelema. And so he writes that book. Also writes a bunch of poetry and stuff. And sidebar, he kills a couple robbers in China. Like shoots them and kills them.
Just for the heck of it?
Well, I mean, he was being robbed, so he shot him.
Oh, he was being. I thought you were just like he was just out there like you robbed somebody, bang bang bang, dealing out justice. While he's out here trying to he's writing a book of demons, and is just like, hey, listen, I'm following the devil, but there's still a rule of law, sir.
Yeah, so he kills a couple of robbers who try to attack him. And then on his journeys, it appears that some other hikers that were on a journey with him who died because of him. But it's
okay,
not
hear me out.
Guaranteed.
Hear me out.
Yes.
He went on a hike
Yeah.
in Russia in 1959, right? 11 people.
Yeah.
I think he murdered everyone on the hike.
That's what a lot of people think he did.
That's a good theory.
A lot of people think he did. Except for he died before 1959.
You don't know that.
Okay. I do. But
I've confirmed it.
but who knows if his magic was really good? He could time travel, right?
Hey, thanks for checking out Things I Learned Last Night. If you like what we're doing and you want to help us do more of it, one way you can do that is to purchase some merchandise. We've got mugs, t-shirts, all that stuff on the websites, TILLN.com/merch. If you go to TILLN.com/merch, all of that is there for you to check out, and we would love for you to be a part of the show and helping us to do more things. So thanks for checking this out, and back to the episode.
So he starts a secret society called AA, which stands for Alcoholics Anonymous.
I knew exactly. I was like, that's a secret society. Okay.
Very, very similar to the Golden Dawn. In fact, some of the members get really mad at him about it.
They're like, you stole our secret society. And he's like, how do you even know what mine is?
He's like, no, this is the AA.
This is it. You don't even know what this is.
It's a secret. Don't you know that? So he continues practicing his evil rituals. He goes to some other countries, back to Paris, and into the U.S. And his wife eventually, or his daughter, this is important, miss this.
Oh, they had a kid.
Yeah, his daughter tragically dies really young, and that had a very heavy effect on him as well. And then they had another daughter, and then his wife passes away as well. So he's kind of left alone. And he begins this thing he calls the Abbey of Thelema back in that property he bought by Loch Ness, where he begins to do these crazy, crazy rituals of trying to bring Horus to him because he believes it's his destiny to bring in.
Well, yeah, if his wife died and she's the one that saw him, saw Horus.
Yeah. And he's trying to bring in the Eon of Horus, which is, he claims that there was the previous eon of history, or I guess you could call it, say, 1,000 years, was for Christianity. And the previous,
and this one.
Yeah, was for Horus. And what was...
is that why we call it a horoscope?
Interesting. Maybe, actually. I have no idea.
Oh, I don't think so.
But his religion, Thelema, was following Horus, trying to bring in this new eon, and he was going to be the one who's kind of the prophet who led it into reality. And the cornerstone of this belief system was do what thou wilt, which means...
Just do whatever you want.
Yeah, do whatever you want. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Nothing matters. Just do whatever the heck you want.
Well, if you really think about it, he did usher that in.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, honestly, if you think about it, today that's kind of the lifestyle of the world is do whatever you want. And there's a lot of prominent figures after his life. Don't look at me like that.
Okay.
A lot of prominent figures right after his life, or even during his life, that claim to have been heavily influenced by his teachings. So they got their hands on his religious texts and stuff, or were a part of his cult. Like, for example,
Tom Cruise, and I'm just going through the people I know that follow this guy.
Well, I mean, actually, you might not be that far off, because L. Ron Hubbard was heavily influenced by Aleister Crowley, and they actually was he was like friends with Aleister Crowley before starting Scientology, so heavily influenced by him, and he was like his mentor was Aleister Crowley. So there's actually some pretty strong ties of Scientology to Crowley and Crowley's belief system, and the things that Crowley did.
Promising, okay.
And then a lot of rock stars in like the 70s and 80s.
That makes sense. I would think like a Manson kind of guy, just like really, yeah.
Yeah, they loved him. Even the Beatles. The Beatles and what's that? Sgt. Pepper and the what's that album called? Sgt. Pepper and the Lonely Hearts Club Band. That album, he's on the cover. So they.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Aleister Crowley's on the cover of that because they really liked Aleister Crowley. So all those things you hear about.
So like this, like magic stuff wasn't like a dark demonic thing.
Oh, it was. I mean, he was into any ritual, magic, darkness stuff, like from any faith. He's like, I'm all about that. And he had no bounds of that's too dark. And he was actually obsessed with the mark of the beast, the 666 thing. And he called himself the beast. His mom called him the beast first, but he loved that. And he's like, I am the beast. He's like, I am the beast from the Bible.
Yeah.
That they talked about, because it made sense that he believed that, because he believed he was bringing in this new age where there was no law. Like, you just do whatever the heck you want.
Yeah.
And so, if that's your interpretation of what you're supposed to do, and then you look at the Bible that there's this beast who's supposed to come and do something relatively similar, then it makes sense that you'd be like, oh, I am the beast, and be like hyped about it.
I am the beast. And you're like, yeah, that seems confident. Yeah. You got a weird dumb accent you're making up.
But Led Zeppelin was also a big fan. David Bowie was a big fan. Ozzy Osbourne, obviously.
What year did he die?
He died in 1947. He was 72.
Okay.
Yeah. So it died back in England. Ironically, in England, when he died in 47, he wrote really near to his death that he was wrong his whole life. And he said the meaning of life is not to do whatever the heck you want. He said the meaning of life is your family. And he said, I miss my family. And it's like, oh, okay. But his entire life up until like literally that moment, like a year or two before he died, he was like, do whatever you want. Do whatever the heck you want. He's like, I am Satan himself.
So you're saying that this man and the gorilla that they taught sign language said the same thing at the end of their life. Do you know about that? That gorilla that taught sign language? Like at the end, she was like, I wish I was a mother.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, pretty accurate. But yeah, he was straight up like, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. And I really miss them. So kind of sad end to his story. But I mean,
well, if you're listening, call your mom.
Call your mom. Mother's Day's coming up. I mean, by the time this comes out, it'll have happened a long time ago. So yeah, Father's Day's coming
way
up.
To understand how our release schedule works, Tim.
But yeah, a bunch of artists, like music artists, have songs dedicated to him. And actually, the guitarist of Led Zeppelin bought his house and quickly moved out and said that.
Did you call him Artemis?
Huh?
Did you just call him Artemis?
I think I said artists.
Oh. I thought you called him, his name is Aleister.
Aleister, yes.
Anyway, sorry, I got confused. I
The
thought you
guitarist
called
of Led Zeppelin bought his house.
him. Maybe I heard guitar. I don't know.
The guitarist of Led Zeppelin bought his house and quickly moved out because he was like, that place is super haunted.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He was hyped about it. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna live in Aleister Crowley's house. Then he was
Stays
like, yeah,
there
this place
one
is super
night.
creepy.
Dude, I mean,
He's like, I'm gone.
that's kind of why I want to build a house because you know it's not haunted.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. I mean, if it is, they don't know the floor plan. You know, it's brand new.
They gotta learn the floor. It'll take them a couple weeks.
It's gonna take a while to get used to the stuff. You know, there's a house here now.
I mean, ghosts can go through walls. They don't care about no floor plan.
That's an assumption about the ghosts. Okay, you don't know
don't
that
know
all
for
ghosts
sure.
can go through walls. Okay, that's just some stuff you saw in Casper. Okay, you don't know that for a fact.
Oh my gosh. You're right. I'm making assumptions here.
Thank you.
Ghostly assumptions. But yeah, so
Assumptions.
Aleister Crowley, weirdly enough, I mean, a lot of like newspapers and magazines were calling him the devil at the time, and he loved it. He loved being referred to as the devil. He was like the original Ozzy Osbourne, really. Yeah, so he lived this life, started this cult. A lot of people still follow it. I actually watched a YouTube video summarizing his Book of the Law. And it was, here's something. If you're ever getting into a belief system and the first thing they teach you is you can't interpret this for other people, they have to interpret it for themselves, it's probably a little sketchy. Because I watched this YouTube video and it opened with this girl. She's like, I'm not going to tell you everything because you're not supposed to do that. But I'll tell you some things and then you can find out the other things for yourself. And so it's like, that should be a red flag.
Yeah.
But people still are still following this.
But that's also her
system.
Tinder bio. I'm not going to tell you everything. You got to find some things out for yourself. Swipe right to find out more. It's like a little cute, it's kind of cutesy.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
I love
It's a marketing
hiking
move is
and
what
I
it is.
love drawing pentagrams and doing spells. And I'll save the rest to tell you on our first date, which is also the day we'll get married and run to Egypt together.
Take me to Egypt.
Swipe right for a free trip to Egypt.
Oh gosh, but he really did kind of like it. What he
kinda took
describes,
off. Like, things
what he
worked.
describes as the Eon of Horus, he actually kind of did usher that in because it's.
I don't know if he ushered that in. I think that
Here's my argument. So he was really active.
you think that spiritually that there was actual movement in the culture.
Maybe. I think what I'm more referring to is most of pop culture in the 60s and 70s when the world kind of really started to shift into this. We're in the extreme of that, but this thing where it's like, yeah, forget morality, do whatever you want. Like, you don't have to be held down by the systems, that shift began from a group in pop culture that were his followers. And that is highly esteemed, his teachings. And now that's just kind of snowballed. So I don't know if it was exactly his belief system that took off and made this happen, but I think there was a subset of influential people in the 60s and 70s that believed in what he believed in that met the culture, and that's kind of snowballed to this point where it's kind of like, do whatever you want. Like that's kind of the mantra of society now. It's like, you can't tell me.
Yeah, but I don't think that is, I don't know if you can even attribute that to him.
I'm saying he was the first stone to be thrown in that cultural revolution. That's my assertion.
Okay.
And I think a bunch of people after him were like, oh yeah, I agree with this guy. And they started joining in. I think people had always lived that way. I think he was the first one to kind of start to make it more mainstream. And then a bunch of mainstream people were like, yeah, we like that. And then everybody else started seeing it, and they were like, "That's 70s show,"
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can see that.
But yeah, last thing on Aleister Crowley. This is kind of crazy. Not a lot of. I watched a lot of videos preparing for this one that kind of talked about his life.
Yeah.
There was only one that mentioned this, but there was a moment in his life. It was when I want to say it was like 1914. So in 1914 and 1919, he lived in the U.S. And while he was there, he actually went down to Georgia, and he got in a fiddle off.
I hate you so much.
With the devil.
I was with you.
Hey, thanks for watching Things I Learned Last Night. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and watch some of our other videos. They're showing up on the screen somewhere around here right now. We'll see you later.